That was some flames. Hey, my name is Messiah Rhodes.
I'm Dr. Evil Genius.
And this is Black Power Magic Hour. Tonight, we're back here tonight. It's about to be an epic act.tv crossover. We're about to have James from the internet as a guest. We're going to talk about random ass stuff everywhere. We're back here. How you feeling, Dr. Evil Genius? Back in the Thursday night, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we're here doing the damn thing the way we do it and stuff.
Things and whatnot. So we're here back
and
here.
Whatnot.
Yeah. So right now, even though I fucking hate it so much, the coronavirus is everywhere. People are wearing masks. I'm trying to keep up what's going on, but at the same time, I'm trying to find a balance between not going crazy, thinking about it all the time. If Jesse can drop the crime real quick, the virus COVID-19 coverage, drop it right quick. Let's get into the headlines.
The coronavirus. It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
That's the virus cover. That's the coronavirus cover. Don't get the Rona. Don't get the Rona. So right now,
it's funny. We go through the pre-production stuff. Like, I know that you guys are like, yeah, we're gonna put this in the show. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not even gonna bother looking at that shit. I'll see it on the show. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck, man?
Don't get the Rona, Dr. Genius. Don't get it. That's gonna happen to you. So a lot of studies are happening right now when it comes to like people studying economic impact. And one of the things people are seeing right now is the fact that people are getting paid more on unemployment than they get paid at work. And that's actually even changing how people are spending. If Jesse could pull up this clip real quick. People waiting online for something with masses. Always waiting
When the health
online,
crisis turned into an economic recession, Congress boosted weekly unemployment benefits by $600 to help Americans suddenly out of a job. And new research out Thursday showed those who received the supplemental benefit actually spent more than when they were gainfully employed. The J.P. Morgan Chase Institute analyzed financial transactions for 61,000 households that received unemployment benefits between March and May. Spending dropped for all households as the pandemic prompted widespread shutdowns. But then households that began receiving enhanced benefits started spending 10% more than they did before the pandemic. The research found that the biggest rise in spending came from households that earned the least before supplemental unemployment benefits.
Oh, what do you know?
The findings illustrate how significant the $600 may have been to millions of recipients, but also how meager their wages were even before the current crisis. Data out Thursday from the U.S. Labor Department showed another 1.3 million people filed for new jobless claims last week. More than 30 million Americans are estimated to be receiving unemployment benefits. The $600 supplement is due to expire at the end of July. When it does, it could trigger significant pain for millions of families, a sharp drop in consumer spending, and a potential shock for the U.S. economy. The researchers wrote, quote, "Our estimates suggest that expiration will result in large spending cuts with potentially negative effects on both households and macroeconomic activity."
So Jesse can pause this real quick. So pretty much it'd be great. It'd be great if the audience... No, but real quick, it'd be great if the audience can talk about if they know somebody, if themselves are like been trying to like contact unemployment since March, or if they're getting it, and like it'd be really great to hear people out there. So, what do you think of this clip, Dr. Genius?
Yeah, I mean, I think that 10% figure is not taking into account the fact that most people are spending their money on absolute necessities. And the problem with that is a lot of those absolute necessities have incurred rises in costs themselves. So, we've gone to the supermarket, which is where most people are spending their money on these days. You look in the supermarket and prices are up across the board. Meat, milk, cheese, juice, vegetables. With the drop in food transport, a lot of farmers have had to just throw out like whole harvests of food. So
Yeah, they
we have
hand
these
food out for free
shortages.
sometimes.
Yeah, but they're throwing out massive amounts of food. You're not getting the same. You're not getting the same stock in the supermarkets, and so it's just it's hard to say that people are buying more stuff. I think that has more to do with the fact that stuff just costs more overall.
Yeah.
If people are spending more time bored at home, people are making some difficult choices out there. So
Yeah, so like speaking of that, if Jesse could play this next video clip, it pretty much shows you that like, the businesses that like while the federal government and the state governments are all like, don't wear your mask, stand in the closet with a bunch of people, all these states are having different crazy rules. Actually, all these stores and corporations actually like, they're like setting these rules on a national level. Jesse plays this clip real quick of Walmart, all these places are like, yo, if you want to come in a store, you got to wear a mask. Corporations are doing that.
In the absence of a federal mask mandate, some national chains like Starbucks request all customers wear masks. Yesterday, Walmart, America's largest retailer, announced a mask mandate at all of its more than 5,000 stores. The nation's largest supermarket chain, Kroger, followed suit. CBS News chief medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook.
There's been mixed messaging about the need to wear face masks. The level should be
I don't
to
know.
wear a
That
face
last
mask.
name is really something.
You can't let your guard down, not even one time. It takes that one slip up. To not
Distracting
wear your mask,
last
to not wash
name.
your hands.
Michelle
What'd you say
says
about the
she, her
coronavirus?
husband John Place, and their 4
LaPook.
children all tested positive for coronavirus.
Happen.
This is the 19th morning that John Place is in the ICU fighting for his life.
See, this is the thing.
He
that's
looks like he's
happening,
about to rob a bank.
Like this coronavirus is really fast forwarding children to like dealing with like what soldiers deal with, like survivor guilt and PTSD. Yeah, I got my dad's dying because of me. Like this is what soldiers in war deal with. Now kids are dealing with this shit because of coronavirus.
Well, that's why we need to send them back to school so that we can get them prepared for the next world war, like super quick.
Get them body hardened. 1 million people died when
like,
I went to school. It doesn't fucking matter,
Yeah, we need to like rewire their brains with PTSD as soon as possible. None of the rich kids though. None of the kids that belong to like rich and powerful people. Just like everybody else.
They can afford homeschooling, whatever, how much that costs to get homeschooled or be in a classroom with like 10 kids for a whole year. They probably can afford that stuff, but most people have to go to public school and be in school for 45 room, and the gym teacher has been teaching gym for 40 years. I mean, it's like that kind of stuff. I mean, we went to public school and we dealt with public school before the pandemic, and even then it was like, how was public school going?
Let's just call it what it is. It fucking sucks.
So now we're forcing these children into plus a historical global pandemic. Welcome to third grade, Timmy. So this is what's pretty much happening on the level. But at the same time, even though you see the seriousness, you hear these stories, you see the stats of people buying essential stuff because they got extra money now. But at the same time, we still have this kind of stuff. Jesse plays this video real quick. Americans get to visit places, and this is what they do in Spain, pretty much. I mean, British people, they have the same problem over there with Boris.
What is Magaluf?
It's
I know what MAGA means,
tourist.
but what does LUF mean? Hooligans.
Punta.
Oh, so this is Spain. So people went from the UK to Spain.
Yeah,
That they could spread the Rona.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, should we talk about how we don't agree with they're doing because of, the destructive behavior? Like, should we like not listen to what they have to say?
What they're
Because
protesting? Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like how they're protesting. It makes me uncomfortable, and they should protest more peacefully.
Yeah,
And
they should be like their whole thing is invalid because we don't like the way that they're carrying on. So we should force all of them to wear masks and like put like locks on the masks so they can't take them off, like it's some fucking Twilight Zone shit. I don't know. That's
apparently
the way I see it.
live streamers are being attacked in Portland allegedly, according to
Yeah,
Facebook.
like people being people. Arisma Silva is saying that unmarked cars are snatching protesters off the streets.
That
The
sounds
feds are
really
just
happy.
snatching
That
up.
sounds like a happy. That sounds like a real happy thing going on in Portland right now. I mean, Portland and like Oakland, they always go buck wild with the protesters. They be like smashing stuff up. So they hear them
But
unmarked
they're
vehicles.
like whisking people away in unmarked cars so people can't, it's like kidnapping. That's really what it looks like to me. If these reports are true, of course. Like, I can't just go off of, one link to an article, but this is definitely worth talking about and looking into.
I mean, this article says right here in the early hours of July 15th, after a night spent protesting, this has been updated like a few hours ago today. Pretty much so a couple of protesters decided to go home, and it was by 2 a.m. I guess it was a good thing law enforcement didn't use tear gas. This is America right now. We live in like they didn't use tear gas. It was a great night. They didn't use tear gas, and they got home, and then I guess an unmarked minivan pulled up, and like, some guys in camo, 4 or 5 of them, opened up the door and took them to some place. So
never to be seen again.
Being interviewed for things
using enhanced interrogation techniques.
So that's developing news. Thanks for sending that link. That's crazy stuff happening. I mean, we hear what happened in Washington, D.C. was also on that level. It pretty much was a mass of different. Trump was trying to like make the most dystopian nightmare in D.C. That was the only place he can able to do it. So that's when you had pretty much the Bureau of Prison Guards, like response guards. Those guards deal with like serial killers and like people who don't belong in jail. They deal with like the most hardened people, and they sent them out in the streets in DC to deal with unarmed, anarchist protesters in DC. But luckily, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's happening all over the country right now when it comes to like law enforcement having these powers that they shouldn't, able to call upon their friends over the world and over the country to come in with their tanks and weird weapons. So we look at eye out on Portland. Hopefully these people who've been swept away by unmarked vehicles show up again with their organs intact. So
hopefully
that's what's going on.
Completely unprobed.
I mean, like I remember in Ferguson,
we got to talk about alien invasions and stuff.
I mean,
I don't really feel like talking about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, aliens don't want to show up here. They see this place as a dirty ass ghetto. They pass by it and like they pull up their windows and stuff in their spaceships. So I like this segment intro a lot. So if Jesse can drop this segment intro again, and we bring on James. Drop the virus segment.
The coronavirus. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
What?
Hey, James, what's up? Thanks for coming on the show tonight. What's up?
Mellow greetings. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Where's the giant peach?
Oh, yeah, it's been... Hit it?
I said, yeah, where's the giant peach?
Oh, yeah, James and the Giant. See, I'm old enough that I actually get that literary reference. What's shaking, gang? What's going on?
Oh, no, we're talking about the coronavirus. The world being melted by this virus right now. But we have this funny ass music video that we want to check out real quick. You can drop this music video real quick. Let's get this party started.
Hello 911. Hello 911. 911.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh shit. I caught this like an hour ago.
Worker sick. I'll make your worker sick. Worker sick.
Oh my god.
Manager. Go get your manager.
Why did they do a close-up of the Hyundai Elantra?
Mask off. I keep my mask off. Mask off. Mask off. I keep my mask off. Mask off. Worker sick. I'll make your worker sick.
You got the Karen haircut too.
Well, hello, good morning, Facebook. Wait till you hear this. Walmart would like all of us to become communists, but they fuck with the wrong bitch. Cause I don't play that shit. I wrote a nasty letter to their corporate offices. We should all be throwing fists.
This is
if not, then they win. So share this with
cringy
your
as
friends.
shit.
You're a proud American.
James, yeah, how you I see other people are like making funny ass music videos. Like, how you doing with the COVID-19 where you at? Where are you?
Oh, see, so I'm lucky. I'm in Southern Mass. We and I've been living in New York City for like 5 years. And we got out of New York City just like a couple months before all the COVIDs hit. And like I'm in Southern Mass, so it's fairly low population density. Boston was one of the first places that had an outbreak. And I don't know, it dated back to like some like medical conference they had back in like January, and there were people who attended who had just come from China from like another medical conference. So like they took that shit really seriously up here. And before the government even started mandating stuff, like overnight, like you go to like the Quickie Mart the next day and all of a sudden there was like tape on the floor. And this is like back in like February. Like, I know it's like bizarre to think that far back. Like, oh, February. Yeah. Like, that's right.
March and April feels like a blur.
Back to a magical time.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like, this is like the shittiest version of Groundhog Day ever. Like, worst pandemic. Like, straight up, like no mutants, no Mad Max Road Warriors,
no nothing,
zombies.
No robots hunting you down.
No flying cars. No, it's 2020, and I spent most of my day trying to convince adults to wash their goddamn hands.
Oh man,
what happened?
You know, it's actually pretty fucked up. Like I work in the gym environment and as a trainer, and anytime I would go into the bathroom, you know, even if it's just to take a leak or just to go in there because like I touched a bunch of shit that a bunch of sweaty other people have touched. I go in there, I'm washing my hands for at least 30 seconds, and motherfuckers are looking at me as if I grew another hand. And it's like, yeah, like I've seen guys like take the largest fucking dumps, come out of the stall, and then either walk right past the sink, or they kind of like throw their hands under the water.
They put
like
their hands in their mouth.
And then they like go right back out there and grab the barbell. Like, I remember I was working at this one gym, right? I was working at this one gym, and I got this infamous reputation because this dude walked out of the stall, right? Like, I was at the sink washing my hands. He walks out of the stall, and he leaves before I do while I was at the sink. So he goes outside, and I see he walks right over to where he set up the deadlift, and I'm like, I left the bathroom, right? I walked right over to him, and I'm like, listen, we all got to touch that shit. Like, I just watched you come out of the stall.
That is the most awful word of the 2020 is fecal matter.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, we all got to touch that shit. And the dude is like, so you think I should wash my hands? I'm like, yes, actually, I think that's a good idea. So I basically, it was almost like a mother snatching their sons by the ear and then dragging them back to the fucking bathroom in front of everybody. Like, I am not going to catch E. coli off of your ass while I'm trying to get my gains, because you can't even take 30 seconds to wash your hands after taking a shit in a public place. Fuck you.
Oh. And that's before the coronavirus. That's even before the pandemic.
That probably started the coronavirus 3 years ago.
Straight up though, like between the I'm a grown adult. I don't got to wash my damn hands. And the my freedom people, like seriously, like dumb people are going to get us all killed. Like I'm
And they're
firmly
proud to
convinced.
because my freedoms.
My freedom.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I just find the animosity against masks is like so strange to me in the sense that if you feel uncomfortable in a mask, then try to limit your use to using the mask. Don't yell at people. Don't yell at people you at a restaurant because you don't want to wear a mask. This is weird lash out. You know, like I just can't believe what's happening when it comes to it.
Dude, I've been saving articles like as they pop up because I keep thinking I'm going to get back to, like having to do, 4 hours a day again. And like in the last few days, I saw there was a guy with no mask pulls gun on guy with mask at store who says, "Hey, you should wear a mask." Somebody, a no mask
I'm
dude,
standing my ground.
Stabbed somebody in a store.
Stab somebody.
Yeah,
if you stab somebody, you should text me. Are you like over a mask? Like, what's happening here? All this negative energy. So,
like, people talk about hate and hate speech and things like that, but it's easy to just dismiss it as like, jargon and rhetoric. But when you see people that are like, yes, I'm looking at my TV and seeing that there are hospitals that don't have enough space in their morgues to store the dead bodies. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do whatever I can to try to propagate this disease. Like, if that's what hate is.
Jesse has to pull up this video real quick from South Carolina because apparently South Carolina is opened up for tourism and they've started the Jaws movie. So
what the fuck do I want to see in South Carolina?
It's mandatory for anyone over the age of 9.
It's
the
the
city
architecture.
just doubled fines for violating.
$100
for the first
and over
offense.
here we see a trailer park. Here's a double wide.
Not Melissa
Fuck outta
Dickinson
here.
from Southern Illinois.
We forgot them. Yeah.
But you feel okay about it?
Yeah. I mean, when we pass too close to people, we just try not to.
Another challenge. Almost 140,000 American deaths into the crisis. Many people see the COVID scare as overblown.
I mean, people die of stuff all the time. I don't know why I would change.
People die every day, B.
He said niggas die every day, B. He pulled off the camera. I didn't know he listened to camera. Oh, shit.
I talked to one clerk here.
Yo, he's
King
more
Street
gangster
in an
than I
upper-end
thought.
clothing store.
Yeah, it's been gangster thing to say on CBS.
Or leave the store.
Oh my
He got
God.
irate,
I thought he
threw
didn't
him
like
out,
that.
threatening to sue the store.
Rap
She saw the
music.
moment for what it probably was.
That sounds like
threat.
definitely a
Gail,
camera
we live
online.
in strange, contentious times.
Motherfuckers die. What of it?
What?
And he's like there with his kids, and his kids are just like, "That's true. They do. People die."
And it's crazy. Like, people keep trying to like compare it to the flu, right? And then it's like, well, the whole flu season for the entire country has a certain number of people that died, right? And that number is lower than the people who have died from the coronavirus just in New York alone. So we're talking about a number of fatalities from a disease.
People be bringing up wild statistics.
In
What
one
about drunk
state?
driving? People die more from drunk driving. People die more from heart disease. People draw up
Them
all kinds of
motherfuckers,
stats.
like, then you know what? Stop drunk driving then. Like, like
Sweet. Like
I don't understand the arguments that people are putting out there. Like, yeah, but people die from other bad stuff, and it's like, is that why we should all die from this stuff? Like, what kind of argument are you making? I don't get it.
That seems like a perfectly sane reason. Yeah, no. Listen, I literally had this argument today, and my answer to the flu argument was, go ahead and show me the last time so many people died of the flu that they had to get fucking big ass portable freezer tractor
trucks.
trailer beds to stack up the 10-foot high stack of bodies in so that they don't freaking decompose because they got to wait 3 goddamn weeks to get them cremated because there's a line of dead bodies 38 miles long. If you could tell me the last time that shit happened during flu season, I might be more like willing to listen to your idiotic comparison, but
Yeah, there was problems. I remember there was problems in New York City of like funeral homes that were like congested with bodies, and they didn't want to they wanted to take the business, so it was a disaster of the smelly bodies sometimes because they wanted to keep getting business of like doing funerals, but they didn't have the capacity. There were decomposing bodies at funeral homes. It was the kind of stuff that was happening in New York City. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I had a debate with somebody who is in my bloodline on Sunday, and they were trying to make the case that that all of these reports, these people aren't really dying, and it's just this political ploy, because the Democrats this and the Republicans that. Say, all right, listen, so let's break this down to like very, very small nuggets, right? So nobody believed that COVID-19 was real when it was ravaging so-called blue states, right? Okay, so you tell me why Arizona, Texas, and Florida are all now on board with this Democratic ploy. But we don't really know what the numbers are. I said, well, okay, let's say we don't really know what the real numbers are. All right, let's look at the amount of people that were in the hospital and then the spike, and now all the people who are in the hospital. Most of these people that are in the hospital in these southern states are people that thought COVID-19 was a fucking joke. It was a hoax, it's this or that. Now they're seeking medical treatment. They're clogging up the health system. So if you're telling me, oh, well, they mixed up the antibody test with the live virus test. Well, the people who are testing positive for the antibody test, they're not filling up the emergency rooms because they've already had it, and their infection is come and gone. So how do you explain the overcapacity of hospitals in areas where people didn't believe in the virus, but they believed that they needed to go to the hospital though? So you explain to me.
I don't believe in the hospital.
Yeah, you explain to me how all the non-believers who are now in the hospital who didn't believe, explain to me why they're there now.
That's a summer pneumonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer pneumonia.
It's strong. It's very strong allergies.
Very strong.
Yeah, they're allergic to the Rona, motherfucker. Like,
yes, you're allergic to shitty healthcare. That's what you're allergic to.
We really have a governor in Georgia who's pretty much saying who's denying mandatory mask. In Georgia,
oh my God! I literally
doing the Georgia mayor.
I literally just like if you look on the YouTube channel, like if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, like one video behind this one, like 3 hours ago, I just put up a video about the whole Georgia debacle. Like I spent all day on that crap, and I lived in Atlanta for like 8 years. Like I love Atlanta. Like everybody down there is awesome. Like I lived all over like different parts of it. I got a real good feel for it. And literally like the governor's like, that's it. I'm banning cities and towns from making anti-mask laws. We strongly recommend you wear them. And his exact words were, forcing people to wear masks in a public place would be a bridge too far to cross.
A bridge
and
too far.
3 hours later, every single fucking school district in Atlanta met, and they're like, oh, okay, well, since we can't make people wear masks at schools, we're just all going to cancel the school year. Done. Distance learning for the fall. And that was
Atlanta,
like that.
So Atlanta schools have been canceled this fall?
No. So far it's been, and I don't know if you've ever been to Atlanta, but pretty much like the areas around Atlanta right now. It's the actual city of Atlanta, Fulton County, Cobb County. Gwinnett was originally going to have it be optional, but I heard they're meeting again. They called like an emergency meeting tomorrow, and I think Gwinnett's going to go to it also. Now, like Fulton said they're going to do, or like City of Atlanta said they're going to do it for like the first like 10 weeks of the semester and then revisit it depending on, the plateau numbers. And then I saw simultaneously the NCAA medical director put out a report that said right now they cannot recommend having any NCAA fall sports if on a state to state national level, we can't manage to get to like a flat line or a down spike soon. So we're literally going to hit the point where the rubber meets the road. Like everybody who's like, my freedom, like literally everybody's going to have to throw a mask on for like 10 weeks all at the same time, or everything goes bye-bye. You can kiss fucking college football goodbye. You can kiss the NCAA goodbye. You can kiss the NBA restart goodbye. You kiss all that shit goodbye. And you can spend the next 16 weeks sitting at home with your kids like you just did the last 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Your option.
But, I mean, they have the freedom to do that.
The freedom.
700. Yeah. I mean, there's already been, even though, like I was just the NFL was like NFL already has been diagnosed positive cases of COVID-19 already for the NFL.
Almost 100.
So it's like,
a bunch of baseball players, a bunch of basketball players.
Terrible sign. That's a terrible sign for the NFL. You know. So
it's going to be the players are going back and forth on whether they'll go with it or not too. So we don't know which way it's going to swing yet.
Yeah. You know, the main event of UFC 251 was almost lost and had to have a late replacement because one of the fighters for the title caught the Rona. So
even healthy people get the Rona. Imagine that.
But you know, but the thing is, also healthy people are dying from the Rona too. So that shit is not to be fucked with. But you know, Americans are gonna American. Because if you look at the rest of the world, most of the people are like, hey, we should all help and protect each other. In the United States, it's like, fuck your life, my freedoms.
My freedom. Man. You know, actually funny. So, and I don't know if I told you, my wife's like a PhD epidemiologist, and she works for she does like state death stat reporting, shit like that.
Yeah, you're not
like
getting the Rona, son.
No. It's not that I'm not getting the Rona. It's just I know like what tree the Rona's lurking behind. Like, it's
because the CDC, because we just found out the CDC website doesn't even work anymore, so we need to keep in touch.
Yeah,
with James,
I mean, they're just not getting data anymore. But
it's going to be replaced. It's going to be replaced with a PSA that we should all inject Lysol.
Yeah. Trump's gonna have us all drinking bleach and sticking light bulbs up our ass before you know it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what the CDC site is going to be by Monday. Pretty much.
Maybe Trump is an alien and he's going
Goya
to trick
beans
us.
And Lysol.
Maybe Trump is an alien and he's going to trick us into probing ourselves.
It's possible. I'm sorry, but now you mentioned the Goya, and all I can think of is, fucking Ivanka Trump has never opened a can in her fucking life, right? She was looking at that can of Goya beans going, what is this object?
I've seen conspiracy theories that, this whole thing with Goya is just to force white people to use seasonings in their food.
Come on. The English literally spent 1,000 years sailing all over the globe, killing people every last place they could find them. And literally 1,000 years, all they came up with was fucking chicken curry.
And they still don't even do that.
That's it. They got salt and curry. That's it. Trump
took a picture of random Goya objects on his table that he never seen before.
That was. And we've seen gratuitous bullshit come from that guy. Like, this person didn't say something mean to me or is mean about me. Let me just I don't even know who they are. Like every time I see Diamond and Silk sitting next to Donald Trump, I'm like, this dude. No matter how much money that they got being like race traders, no matter how much money they got paid from that, he is still never going to let them rent an apartment in one of his buildings, yo.
It's so crazy.
The front desk.
No,
even that is...
Yeah, you gotta take snapshots with guests for $20 a pop, like at Comic-Con. It'll just be like Conservacon, like you walk in and they got booths set up, and it's like Diamond and Silk.
You can buy bootstraps to pull yourself up with.
Yeah, only 45 minutes a day. They roll Ben Carson in, so you got to reserve those photograph slots early, pay a premium for him. Not because he's busy working, but just because he's usually napping.
Yeah, so where is he?
You're talking about
where is he?
Biden.
Oh,
Ben Carson
got the Rona.
From a map.
His brain's missing. I mean, like, literally, it's like if you go to Wikipedia right now, like one of the earliest black Trump supporters, his Wikipedia page is Michael the Black Man. How spectacularly racist is that? That the first one of the early black Trump supporters is Michael the Black Man. Like this is crazy. Like
I have questions, but I think I'm going to keep them to myself.
Nah. See, this is the type of show where we ask all the questions.
Yeah. That's the question. Yeah, I asked about Michael the Black Man.
I'm just starting to think that Michael the Black Man is like Trump's PR rep who is actually Trump. Like, I'm assuming Michael the Black Man is like it's like Don Jr. with the stock photo. Like that would be my assumption, right? Like that's not a real person, right? Like, if y'all ever actually seen Michael the Black Man? More importantly, have you ever seen Michael the Black Man and Donald Trump Jr. in the same room together
in the same room at the same time? Nah, we haven't.
No, you're probably wrong.
I'm saying.
But then again, I don't think Donald Trump Jr. would be caught dead in a room with a black person of either gender at any time. So
I mean,
that is going to be a mystery that will never be unraveled.
So, like, another question I have about all of this is, it's like, we have, obviously, you probably see around the world, you see other countries deal with it a little better than us, slightly better. They're giving money per month to their population, or they're like doing food security or different things. We had Richard, who's from the Congo, a few weeks ago for the anniversary of the Congo anniversary, independence against Belgium. Even he said his sister, even though they have way less resources, they were trying to build infrastructure to deliver food to outskirts villages. Like they were working hard to like make sure they can maintain it. Here, it's just we have all. How do you feel that we're supposed to be the most richest country in the world, but yet we're still struggling like this?
How do you think we got to be the richest country in the world? We don't give away free shit.
No.
Hello?
I mean, we like.
Do you not understand how profit margins work?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not capitalism well?
We love free labor. We don't like free stuff.
No, we love free stuff as long as somebody else is doing the free labor. Then we love free stuff.
Well, we love it when the rich get free stuff. We don't like it when the disenfranchised get free stuff.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. If you give money to rich old white people, that's investing. If you give money to poor black and brown people, that's socialism, and you're a communist. Yeah,
pretty much. That's as long as the money keeps going to the top, it's not communism.
I'm past the point of like trying to understand like the Rona thing. I understood. Like my wife explained to me that in Asia, essentially since SARS back in like 2003, wearing masks has pretty much become a normal thing. So literally, like in Asia, they've had a full generation now of people wearing masks. And so it's like halfway to becoming, like most things take 2 full generations to become a societal norm. That's pretty much the time scale.
I mean,
so like most of your Asian countries,
me and Tati Virginia, we used to hang out I used to break dance like years ago in Union Square, and sometimes we have like people from Korea and Japan who are breakers, and they wear a mask in Union Square.
Right.
This was like 2000. This was like more than 12 years ago. This was a long time ago. So we saw that kind of
people
stuff.
From China come over. People from China come over to New York City, and they're like, "Whoa, this air's so bad. We actually have to wear our masks again." Like,
But,
I just thought they were wearing masks so that they didn't have to breathe the same air as like us dark-skinned people. I thought it was like some racist shit.
No, it wasn't even a black thing. They're just like they come over to America to like go do tourism, and they walk around. They're like,
but I had that inferiority
this place is really
complex,
fucking gross. No. They're just stunned that it's as gross as it is. Like, You know, they're like, oh, like we're gonna get out of like shitty coal smoggy China. Like we're gonna go on vacation and go to New York. Look at the pictures. The sky looks so blue. And then they like get off the plane in LaGuardia. They go outside and they're like, they're like, get the masks. Like
someone's peeing right near the baggage check, pretty much. You know.
Oh, the one thing I will never miss of New York is the smell of the hot urine subways in July. It's the one thing I will never miss.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the shit out of pizza.
And the weird funk, the weird funk that wafts from areas where a lot of garbage normally sits. Even when they take it away, it just kind of, I don't know. It's an experience.
Remember, I used to live up in the Upper West Side, and it'd be like so many rats running across the sidewalk. I don't remember this stuff, Virginia. There'd be so many rats.
But now it's everywhere. Now they're attacking people. They're attacking people eating on street side restaurants. Like, yo, like we know, like you're like 17 times our size, but yo, we hungry, son. We coming for you. We know you scared of us.
Actually, have y'all seen like how there's been like a whole bunch of problems with animals that live on the fringe of human society since the Rona started? Like, have y'all caught any of this? Like,
yeah, I know.
Like the monkeys in Indonesia, like the deer parks in Japan.
I've been in the Catskills. I've been in the Catskills for the past three weeks, and it's been bears just holding us hostage sometimes. So, so it's like.
Yeah, no.
So
When I saw that, I saw the video of the deer in Japan. All like there's like this sacred forest where like deer hang out, and then after like 2 weeks of nobody coming out and feeding them, they just like started wandering into town, like hundreds of them. And I'm like, I mean, it's kind of sad. And I'm like, but oh look, it's deer, it's cute.
That sure reminds me of.
And then like a week later. Yeah, but like a week later, there was a video. There was a video of like the monkeys in Indonesia that are used to tourists feeding them, and the monkeys seem not nearly as pleasant as the deer. They seem genuinely pissed off, and a lot more people
fucking
to go
hungry
and take food from people. Like, but seriously, like that's how bad the fluctuations are. We never think of shit like that. Like, there's literally people walking around going, "Well, nobody I know is sick. So this is all bullshit. My freedom. I ain't wearing a mask." And meanwhile, there's like deer the next town over going, "You realize we're fucking dying because you have the Rona." Like, that's how bad it is. Like,
that's crazy.
Like, we're just so oblivious. And I don't like, you know, to your point, look at the rest of the world, like China.
You can't give them that credit. You can't give them that benefit of the doubt because there is no fucking doubt. Like, they're being told. They're not oblivious. They know exactly what the fuck is happening, and they don't fucking care. And that's the thing that upsets me the most. Like, they don't give a fuck.
I have a theory that the no mask people actually started with like the core constituency of the anti-mask people are anti-vaxxers, but now they have like a physical thing that they can point at rather than the one shitty study by Dr. Wakefield 40 years ago that had a control group of 14 people. Like now they actually have masks and can point at something. And so like those people are like the most hardcore ever. Like the anti-vaxxers are like, they go
but
hard.
Their numbers
like, you're
are
on
too
social
small
media
to be seeing what we're seeing though. Like,
yeah, but
the sheer
they're
scale
hard.
of my freedom people.
Right.
But I hope it's small. I hope these like weird people are just being overblown by the media.
Because these are also the same people. These are also the same people that say, well, black people should just comply. These are the same exact people who are saying black people should comply, but I'm not going to.
Well, and this is why it's the Venn diagram. So it started with the anti-vaxxers, and they have like a very hardcore, like they are solid on that shit. And then it was them, the libertarians, my freedom, and then the axis of evil was finally joined by the Trumpers, who were like, hey, look at all these fine white people who are saying this is bad, and Democrats are pushing it. Let's go talk to them. And that's like the confluence of shit now that you're dealing with. Like, that's now the anti-mask community. Like, that's like the three of them put together. I don't know how you beat that shit.
But it's actually pretty much deja vu, like King Rebellion have said in Twitch. It's like there was an anti-masker movement during the Spanish pandemic, the Spanish flu, aka we named American flu. It was really American flu.
And even when people started to comply, you know, the soldiers coming home from the end of World War I, people just kind of forgot about all of those precautions, and they just flooded the streets because thank God the fucking war is over. So it's kind of hard to blame them for that mindset, but then that led
Kansas flu. I like that.
to a really nasty, second and third wave. So
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the winter after Washington lost like a third of his troops to like cold and disease and starvation, like that spring, he had forced mass inoculation all across the North. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one of the first ever mandatory influenza vaccinations.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
did they have any microchips in those vaccinations?
It depends on if Bill Gates goes back there with the time machine. So technically, at any point, that can just get.
You just need Stewie Griffin to go back in a time machine. That's all you need.
That's what Bill Gates is doing right now. He's going back in time. He's causing this coronavirus.
It's so sad to me that like all of Asia and now most of Europe has finally just been like, okay, let's just suck it up. We'll all wear masks for like 3 months and get this to a low controllable number. And everybody just sucked it up buttercup and did it. And like I said, us in New England, like in the northern part of the country, like if you look at the numbers, like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, like we're all fine. It's the rest of you that are fucked. Because we started wearing masks and like distancing early, like before the government even started dropping dictates. And like, I have no idea how the hell you're going to get this under control, considering that the antibodies don't stay long enough for you to develop herd immunity, assuming you could get like 90% of people to willingly participate in such an activity anyway. I honestly like this is going to, and I hate that I'm going to say this, but
as fuck.
It's kind of going to be like the flu in so much that it's going to be year round. It's going to be worst at seasonals, and there's no way to legitimately take it out. And there's no way to build up herd immunity because you can't get enough people carrying the antibodies. The only difference is that the flu fucks you up and you could possibly die. If you get the Rona, the first thing your body does is coat your lungs in 3 inches of goo to keep the Rona out, and then you drown in it. Like,
yep.
And it's still
figuring out worse.
Even after you healed from it, it's still seeing the effects afterwards. It still affects. They're still figuring that out too. So it's a whole different stages of it. So like we already talked about wild exotic zoo animals loose in the streets, which kind of feels pretty apocalyptic already. If you like, so Jesse posted this clip right now. What's happening because Texas is pretty bad right now. So pretty much we have a scene from Outbreak right now, like a real live, actual like action movie scene. If Jesse plays this clip right now.
The Army will be setting up and starting to treat patients tomorrow. The Army will staff a new COVID-19 wing here at the hospital, bringing about 30 experienced nurses and 13 doctors from all over the country.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a hoax, right?
Because the
military has
patients. The hospital
recognized
is currently treating about 40
fake as hell to
COVID
me.
patients and has another 20 beds available.
I could buy that unit
medical staff to man them. We talked to the unit's commander last night.
We will
start
to integrate with that hospital tomorrow and get training on their systems and their policies and whatnot. And then once we're up and ready to go with all that, the game's on and we're going to be there.
Our nurses are overworked. They're extremely exhausted.
Right. We support our troops,
breath of fresh
except
air
for the
for all
troops
of us.
that believe in COVID-19.
The Army chose UMMC because of its location in the largely minority neighborhood of Acres Homes. It treats mostly minority patients who have been especially hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, hold on. I'm calling it right now. The military set up there so that they can give out recruitment pamphlets because all the schools are closed and they have no way to suck in all the poor black and brown kids from Houston between 16 and 17 that have no future hopes.
Conspiracy.
Yes, I'm calling it.
No,
and the poor white boys are also targets for them too.
King Rebellion, I understand. King Rebellion, I understand what you feel about the weird heroes, but you have to understand when I was after Hurricane Sandy, I went to Far Rockaway, and this was like a few days after there was no electricity. People were burning stuff in the garbage cans to stay warm. It was crazy out there. But pretty much they brought in the Army, the National Guard. When it comes to the Army being deployed in the United States, if they deploy the Army, they're not going to bring in tanks and helicopters, it's going to be low key because the psychological impact of doing that on the population. Yeah. So they're going to be low key. So you see these kind of low impact operations. They bring in a few troops into the hospital. They bring in a few troops into the projects to turn the power. This is how the military operates in the country. So even though it seems really light-footed, it's actually pretty. It's actually something you should take notice when the army comes in, because it's like this is not.
It has to do with the level of desensitivity, though. Like now that every fucking town in America has its own MRAP with like a mounted 50 cal that they drive around town to go on SWAT raids, and they bust out for the Labor Day parade. So at this point, anything like an MRAP or less, people are just like, "Oh, look, cop car!" Like that's to the point we've desensitized people that there's MRAPs with 50 cals, and people are like, "Oh, it's cool. The police are doing something." Like nobody else seems concerned. Okay, I'm just going to shut up.
I totally feel that way. I feel like people are pretty this military. Like this is like action movie. This is like a scene from an action movie. Like the army is coming in. The army is coming into the hospital to take over hospital beds. This is like something that happens in the action movie. That people are just like, it's a local news report that grandma watches, and that's it. And I think it's really disconcerting. This is how we treat military deployments within our borders, So,
I'm not a fan anyway. Like usually every time I run into the National Guard, it's because I'm in a protest and I end up with some 19-year-old kid in a baggy, ill-fitting uniform pointing like a 22 Winchester at me that looks like my grandfather shot it, and like Varsity Rifle Club in 1962, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm gonna get killed by Opie with the pop shooter. Yeah, that's great. So every time I see the National Guard, that's usually what's up. Like,
I know. I just feel, but how this is desensitized people, like you said, like people just deal with it. Like what happened earlier in the pandemic, when pretty much they had the National Guard. I don't know if you remember this, James, the Dr. Virginians from the National Guard, pretty much from Rhode Island, going from door to door to check for New Yorkers. I don't even remember that story. That happened in March and April, and that was like really casual story. Like that's not casual. That's not casual for the National Guard to go door to door.
Well, that sounds like some Gestapo shit.
I'm actually, I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to throw out the counter here, which is totally not my style, especially when we're talking about the government being creepy. But
it's a conversation.
So I'll throw this out here. So my wife worked for the Department of Health in New York before we moved up here, and after in periodic times, like they found out, like after Sandy, and then the couple times where they had like the blackouts during the summer, that what happens is especially in large buildings, like the second bad shit happens, it instantly turns into Mad Max. Like instantly, and it gets to the point where like 911 calls for like medical help, they won't go into the buildings because everybody's like, if I go into that stairwell, it's dark and I'm going to die. And so like it's become like a big thing where no agencies will respond to any calls during times of emergency in large buildings, which i.e. usually means housing tenements or state-run buildings.
And there's like people around.
The last Judge Dredd movie that was really bad. It was Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I was actually thinking
the last
that.
one. I saw it. It pretty much the whole movie was him just going up the apartment in the housing project. That was the movie.
I was like, dude, you just made a square futuristic movie about the Bronx? Like, I see this shit every week. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, like, dude, that's the Bronx.
I'm going to the third floor.
Go to the third floor. No, but seriously, like, you got to the point where, like, anytime during an emergency, like, no emergency services will enter large buildings without like police or a military escort, even if it's to like count heads or knock on doors and go, hey, census report shows there's 3 people who live here. Are there 3 people
count doors
in
and knock
building?
On heads?
Yeah, so I'm just throwing that out there. Now, I'm never one to excuse government, but like I was like, really? Whoa, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But the Judge Dredd movie was the first thing I thought of. Yeah. So like I don't know. So wait. So Messiah, you're in New York. So Dr. Evil Genius, where are you at?
I'm in New York. I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know. I don't know. Fuck you.
Yeah.
People could be anywhere.
No,
Right.
because right now I'm upstate New York, but I'm from Brooklyn. I'm gonna be back in Brooklyn next week. But I'm right now in the mountains.
He's bringing the bears with him back to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring the bears. The bears gonna replace the police. That's my been plan. I've been negotiating with the bears up here.
That's his defund the police plan.
That's my plan. Defund the police. Yeah.
Honestly, if you just unleashed like 80 or 90 black bears from like, Jersey or upstate New York into the middle of New York City, I mean, could you statistically say that they would definitely do a worse job than the NYPD? Like, is there an argument?
They probably
do need to bring in some bears to fight the rats.
Them rats probably beat Bill de Blasio for re-election. Yeah. It's saying we need the bears to fight the rats.
Could a large black bear be any worse than Pat Lynch? Like, is that?
I don't know. Like maybe a white bear with an AR-15 going into a school. I don't know. It's possible.
Oh, shit.
Good. I'm just saying. Like,
I mean, because everybody's always afraid of the black bear, but
yeah, the white bear is cute. The white bear on the iceberg.
An albino bear, people would be like, look at it, it's so majestic.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
It's the same shit as a polar bear, and y'all are killing them too. Like,
yeah, exactly. They're starving.
Hungry ass polar bears.
To be fair, the polar bears, granted, they're white bears, but they're not from America, so.
Right. Oh, actually, they're black with white hair.
If they're going to our schools right now, they need to go back to their homes because schools are closed.
So wow, we're getting xenophobic with it now.
Yeah, isn't that what Trump? Isn't that what Trump tried to do recently? He pretty much tried to deport mass amounts and international students. It was crazy, but luckily that stopped pretty much. He's always trying to deport people. It's always on his mind. What a racist ass man.
It's honestly, we've had this debate before. Like, is Trump totally like a piece of shit, like fascist white nationalist, or is he just like an easily manipulated piece of garbage that's surrounded by fascistic white nationalists?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. I think it's more the latter than the former.
That's like 65, 45.
Yeah, but okay, was he hanging out with like?
Wow, your math is horrible.
I was trying to breeze over that. Nobody else got that shit.
Like 110%, 65% this, 45% that.
I'm doing.
To be
Trump
fair,
math,
that is Trump math. That is Trump math. Because Trump math, he does everything 120%. So
I gotta lean into this. I gotta lean into this Trump as much.
I don't know. It's too many numbers. It's time for him to declare bankruptcy again. There's just too many numbers for him to get
no, man. There's still milk left in that teat. That's why Trump ain't leaving. Listen, if you think Trump wants to live in a non-gold plated house with a wife who hates him and kids who
he doesn't have to.
4 years, you're nuts.
He doesn't have to do that. I mean, he's already declared bankruptcy 4 different times. He's done it like 4 times, and he still got like gold-plated everything.
I think pretty much when he premiered The Apprentice, he was bankrupt. I think I heard that before. Like he was. No, he was like totally. So he was like making this whole show about him being the most successful businessman ever, and he's like broke when he like launched the pilot. It was like this guy's a scam artist. Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember when Trump became a meme of Trump. Like when Trump got broke and it got to the point where like you could get him to like be in a TV commercial for like $300 in a bag of potato chips. Like, for 4 years, and like that was the thing. Like Donald Trump showed up in like shitty like not even national McDonald's commercials, just regional ones for New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Like straight up.
Well, he had to be. He had to be. He had to be in the McDonald's commercials because the Burger King double cheeseburger is 30% bigger, and the reason why he can't, remember he can't handle it because I have these tiny hands. Well, he needs somebody to hold Yeah, he needs somebody to hold his burger for him, his Burger King double cheeseburger.
But no, seriously, like I remember like how like I'm old enough to remember like how broke ass Donald Trump was, and like people are like, oh, he built this real estate empire. I'm like, you know that motherfucker's built one building in the last 15 years, and it was a casino he put out of business, which let me tell you, that takes some fucking work. Like before that, Donald Trump didn't build shit for 20 years. He just leased his name, and people who already had buildings put a Trump plaque on. Trump's not a real estate dude. Trump's a licensing dude.
Like you know, one of the things that really annoys me about the Trump supporter, the rank and file Trump supporter, a lot of these people, when you get into any discussion with them, they say, you know, Trump wants to put America first. And then I'm like, well, before we get into all of that, we have to first talk about his history since the 1970s. So it's weird. The people of the South, like, you know, Georgia and Texas, they want to tell you that they know everything about Donald Trump, right? I'm 37 years old. I've been in this city almost my entire life. And, you know, here in New York City, the dude has a reputation that goes way before his political career. So we know a lot more about him than they do, but they're telling you what he is. It's like, yo, but we've been watching him operate for over 40 years. I mean, like I said, I'm only 37, but his reputation has been well known for over 4 decades.
But it kind of reminds me of
it's not a good reputation.
It kind of reminds me of being a New Yorker and experiencing 9/11 like firsthand, and then years later you have weirdos who never were near the World Trade Center or never were near here, have all these beliefs about stuff and all these ideology beliefs. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, New Yorkers were acting way differently after 9/11 than what you thought was going on. So when it comes to Trump, I always saw Trump as this weird, dusty, fake rich man in New York City. I never saw him as like fake rich.
I mean, that's an accurate depiction.
Cheap shit, cheap fake rich shit. I saw him as that, and I saw people cling to that. And I guess America's kind of like that. It's kind of like McMansion. It's kind of fake.
You know what fucked
McDonald's
up the game?
McMansion. Like, you know, what was that?
You know what fucked up the game? I gotta blame this on Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon brought him on for WrestleMania and coined the term billionaire bitch slap, and we haven't been able to get rid of this annoying motherfucker since. So I'm gonna blame Vince McMahon.
That's fair. I was going to blame. I was pretty much just going to blame Donald Trump. Like, that's it. Like, I'm old enough to remember
him for being himself, because he's an idiot.
But
the thing is,
you know what?
You can't blame the idiot for getting as far as he's gotten, because you have to blame the people who have enabled him to get where he is. Because if I was as dumb as Donald Trump, I'd be homeless in front of Penn Station, like begging for change. If I was as dumb as he was. You gotta blame the enablers. He's only being himself.
Here's an unpopular opinion. Here's a very unpopular opinion. Donald Trump is far from stupid. Donald Trump
I don't think he's dumb.
Donald Trump is boorish. Donald Trump has big, huge weak spots, and anytime you go to expose one of his weak spots, he just leans into being boorish and just fucking like steamrolls over you. And shit, he doesn't evolve. Like, shit he doesn't know, he's not going to bother to learn. He's just going to go better, and then, you know, like the conversation. But Donald Trump's far from stupid.
I think
here's the counter to that argument.
I think real sociopaths and real psychopaths, they use that illusion.
So I'm going to counter that. I'm going to counter that. All right. This is the same guy that said, if we do half the testing, we'll have half the cases.
I mean,
he's dumb as shit.
So now from a deep philosophical Schrodinger's point of view, he's right. Like, statistically speaking, I mean,
he lies.
Schroding. Come on, man.
This he lies on some Michael Jordan lying sociopathic level. The way he lies is just in a way that, you know,
he believed that one. Now you could tell by the way he was talking about that shit. He really thought that he was creating some new form of math, some fucking algebra, or, you know, some shit. some calculus.
Right.
Well, half
No,
of the
because
half
he
of the
knew-
half, you would have half of the half of cases. Yeah.
He knew that shit was going to be like 4D chess to his base. They were just all going to be like,
Yeah.
I mean,
like the meme.
remember but like this base, it ranges like at the Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had that terrible rally in Oklahoma, like almost near the anniversary of like the race riots.
where Ben Carson got the Rona. Yeah.
Yeah, remember there was like a huge cheering because he drank like a glass of water. It was like incredible moment for his base.
And they were
'cause
like,
he drank a glass of water.
Oh my god!
He drank it with one hand, and then he was like, and he threw it. People were like, I was like, you know that motherfucker just drank water, right? Like,
yeah. So
people,
so James, we gotta throw back that the Virginians. So like you said. People don't realize Trump is like a wholesale piece of shit. Like any brand can get him, and this is an example of it. If Jesse can play this video, throwback. If Jesse could play this video real quick, it's pretty much what you say about Trump, like buying.
I put together some really impressive deals. But this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret? You're a man of few words. I like that.
Got a buck? You're in luck. Because you can get a delicious, beefy, big and tasty or a McChicken sandwich for just $1 every day at McDonald's.
Purple. Very, very powerful.
Oh my god!
McDonald's needs to answer for that commercial right away, ASAP. McDonald's.
Now here's a reminder: that was not a national commercial. That was the Tri-State McDonald's Franchises Association. That was regional.
Whoa!
Because that motherfucker was so busted he couldn't even get a national
Dusty
commercial.
Donald.
And the thing is, like that to the Trump supporter, that should be like the nail in the coffin. That should be like, yeah, let me stop pretending that I know what the fuck I'm talking about a guy that I don't know at all. Like, you didn't even know that commercial existed because that commercial wasn't aired in your region.
He was selling dollar burgers in 2003. You know, like he was selling dollar
and I would
burgers.
like to point out that commercial is so old. That's back when McDonald's had the McDLT, which was like the Rolls Royce of burgers. And they were like, we could have Donald like do the McDLT, or we could have him do the $1 busted burger. And they looked at Donald and they were like, busted burger.
You do the busted dollar deal burger.
We're gonna save the McDLT for somebody relevant here in 1987, like I don't know, Ron Rickles or Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah.
Oh, Roger Dangerfield.
We'll give Donald Trump the $1 busted burger.
What about? Yeah, that's crazy. That's
John
crazy.
Candy.
I remember like John Candy.
Hey, John Candy was a god. Hey.
That's why you give him. That's why you give him the. You give him the high-end burger.
Give him the Arch Deluxe.
Bro, yo, if y'all never had a McDLT, you don't know the joy of a perfectly like designed and delivered hamburger. That was
I wasn't really into clogging my arteries at age 4.
Oh, see, I'm so much older than you. I was working at McDonald's when that came out.
Jason Alexandria did the Mac BLT, so that BDLT.
Oh, he got the McDLT.
More relevant.
Yeah, he is a A-list celebrity. So
he probably had more money than Donald Trump at that point.
With Seinfeld money,
I probably had more money. I had more money than Donald Trump. I mean, seriously, he had no money. All he had was he had 4 bankruptcies and like a name he could license. And that was it. Like, that's all he had. Like, he went after Trump Tower and that whole fucking fiasco where, again, it was they built the shittiest pig in the world and then put lipstick on it, tried to sell it to billionaires. And that was a whole fucking thing. And he didn't build anything for eternity. All he did was license his name out for 20 years. He was fucking busted. like a busted.
Yeah,
like when
Trump
he did that whole
Taj
Vince
Mahal.
McMahon WrestleMania thing. Like
Yeah,
no
yeah.
lie, like Vince McMahon paid him like $500.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember he was busted back then. He was busted. He's been busted.
Yeah.
Dusty Donald. I love this.
It was really
Hashtag
funny when he shoved Vince
Dusty
over the table, though. That shit was pretty fucking funny.
I mean, you know, the one mistake out of that was that Trump didn't end up getting his head shaved because it could have saved us 40 years of the whole hair farce.
But,
Like, if it had
but
just
that's
been
how
him
you
who got his
know
head shaved.
that, you know, all the smart marks already knew that Donald Trump was never going to get his head shaved. So you knew it was going to be Vince McMahon. You just knew it from the beginning.
True.
So that
But
was
you
one of the
also
first
had to
times
know
I was like,
that
I
Vince
didn't need a
McMahon
dirt
is-
sheet to tell me.
Yeah, but Vince McMahon was also shady enough. This is like 80s
That's when they
Vince
had, like,
McMahon. 80s
that's when they
Vince
had the
McMahon was
hotline
shady as
call.
shit.
No, that was like early 2000s. When
Was
they
that?
did the whole that was early 2000s.
No,
Was that Monday
remember
Night
used to have.
Wars?
No, that was
Remember they
not
used
the
to
Monday
have
Night
like
Wars.
they used to have those
That was a
1-800 numbers you
WrestleMania
call.
thing back when Bobby Lashley's first run up, Bobby Lashley's first WWE run, because Bobby Lashley was, I believe he was Trump's guy, and I forget who Vince's guy was, but there was no way that they were going to allow. There was no way that they were going to allow the guests, because that's how it always was on the road to WrestleMania. Whoever the celebrity guest is, they always were put over by the end of WrestleMania.
Okay. Yeah, it was 07. Okay. I had to look for myself. Okay. Again, I'm so old, everything seems like it was even further away. It's it'll happen to you.
Yeah.
You'll see. You'll see. It's a very real
it's
thing,
already
especially
underway.
like in well, yeah, because you live under the times of Trump. So, you know, doom and gloom and accelerationism is all coming together to form a giant cacophony of crap
I've
that
got
you
way
get
more
to listen to.
way more gray in my beard than you do.
It's crazy what's
you
happening
know.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, but you probably have more hair left than I do. So
That's debatable.
it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's let me tell you, I was wondering what was gonna happen, the gray or the bald first, and then bald went like, come here, let me show you something. Yeah.
Oh, I never had to
bald's
worry.
gonna
I
win.
got my first gray hairs when I was 17, so I already knew what the deal with that was going to be.
No, I'm getting my gray hairs. I'm getting slowly some little gray threads here and there.
Well, y'all
My
better
beard.
hope that that you know Trump doesn't end up winning a second term, because you're gonna go fully gray then bald in the next 4 years.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
It's possible, but I mean, I think that's also a choice too, right? Like you could let shit stress you out. You know, shit will stress you out if you allow it. But you know, me, I'm just looking at this as like a really, really bad Netflix movie that you just can't stop watching, and you know it because you've seen like the main character was like a bit character in Captain America. He was like a bit character, but now he's like the main character, and then everybody else is people you never seen before.
After 7 movies later, you know.
Yeah. And they still can't get a leading role in even a B movie. That's what the world is right now.
You know, remind me to send you the link to the wacky Kevin Sorbo Antifa movie trailer from a couple of years ago.
That sounds awful.
I think you'll appreciate it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that
it
sounds
is
really
literally
awful.
the scenario you're describing. It already happened.
This is the
Oh
worst
wow!
spin-off film
I
ever.
think my life will
And
be enriched by not knowing that exists.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I am the harbinger of doom over here. It's what I do.
Holy shit! Like that fucking mask that you have behind you, that fucking helmet.
Yeah, James.
What?
Yeah,
You got
That was
that big ass
awesome.
helmet. Yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah.
that shit is cool. I'm like the front.
Yeah, James.
You'd be
hopefully-
surprised at shit
hopefully we
if
can
I'm-
ha- Yeah, James. Hopefully, we're gonna have you. We gotta keep the show going, but we need to have you back on soon. This is gonna be dope.
Yeah, this is fun.
This is really
No,
fun.
you
yeah.
you know where to find me. Yo, let me tell you, after the first episode of your show, Brad and I were talking, and I was like, yo, man, Dr. Evil Genius is dope, man. We got to set it up so we can go hang out with him and play some games one day on the stream. So we got we got to talk. We got to find a game where you all play and like
if you want to
set that
load up
for
Infinite
next time.
Warfare on the PS4, you know what I'm saying? I'll backpack you guys. I'll
This is
backpack you guys.
easy.
Don't worry.
Did you do a stream
I'm
recently?
I'm PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
But, well, like I said,
yeah.
We'll make something work. We'll make something work.
We should do that. We should do that.
I streamed a few days ago.
Sure.
Max some kids.
Yeah,
I'm down. I'm easy peasy.
Yeah,
I played some. I played some Sea of Thieves the other day with some other streamers. It was a good time.
Yeah, I might have to check that shit out. Come in and troll and get blocked.
Yeah, man, it's good, man. It's for people dropping. It's easy peasy. But I'm like, hey, no, I'll let you all go with the rest of your show. Messiah, as always, you know I love seeing you. I miss seeing you early in the morning every day. But I don't.
Yeah, it's dope.
I'm sure production that'll roll that way again. Doc, it was a pleasure finally getting to hang with you.
Hell yeah. You will definitely have you on the show again.
This is gonna happen.
A lot of fucking fun.
I like hanging out with the peeps. But definitely, hit me up. Let me know when you're around, and everybody who's watching other platforms, go to the YouTube channel. We have all the videos archived of this and other stuff. It's a good time. You'll find stuff to watch during our
I like
off
this
hours.
crossover theme. We could do it like the MCU. We'll have the act.tv.
Yeah, act.tv universe. Yo, Jesse, drop the Fight Club. Yo, that was Fight Club. We got first Dr. Genius is going to drop some updates. What's going on in the MMA world? What's going on in the past few days?
Yeah, so UFC dropped 2 events. They dropped the fight night last night. There was a fight night that was pretty entertaining, but there was a much bigger event, UFC 251 last Saturday night. I talked about it on our last Thursday show about some of the fights that came up. So I just want to kind of focus on the main card because they really did kind of shift where a lot of the divisions were going to end up going. The first fight had Paige Van Zandt fighting Amanda Ribas. And this was the last fight on PVZ's contract. PVC has been soundly criticized for complaining about not getting paid a lot when she spent a lot of time on the sidelines, either dealing with injuries or just not accepting fights. So, she complained about not making enough money and that she was going to test free agency. Well, what happened when she actually did get in the cage? In the first round, she gets caught by an armbar inside the first minute. And so Dana's like, yo, I think you really should test free agency. So, one of the things that really annoyed me about PVZ is that she wanted all this special treatment and she wasn't really that great of a fighter to begin with. They basically had her on the roster because she's super pretty. And for me, I'm not one of these people that really gives a shit about what you look like. Can you fucking fight? And she spends most of her time losing fights and crying and complaining. So you get the fuck up out of here. There was a rematch of a championship fight between Thug Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. Which
day?
Excuse.
Which day was that?
Say that again.
The rematch. Which day was the rematch?
No, this was the second fight on the main card on UFC 251, the main event. Not the main event, the main card of the pay-per-view. Thug Rose fought Jessica Andrade a second time. In the first meeting, Thug Rose pieced up Andrade like it was beautiful. It was like poetry, her moving around the cage, just whooping her ass, and then she got grabbed and slammed on her head. It's one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Instant KO, and she lost her belt. Andrade goes on to lose her belt in 40 seconds to Zhang Wei Li. So these two were basically in a number one contenders match, a rematch of the championship fight. Just as I expected, Thug Rose pieced up Andrade again, but then I guess, she kind of got caught. Andrade beat her up in the last round. Rose ends up winning the fight 29-28 on the scorecard because she did win rounds 1 and 2. The third fight on the card was a championship fight in the bantamweight, the men's bantamweight division, between Peter Yan and the former champion Jose Aldo. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Jose Aldo was even in this fight because he was ranked 11th, and he also lost his last fight. So a lot of people felt like he won the fight, which is cool because he probably did win the fight, but we had poor judging, and you'll see that be a recurring theme. Aldo actually does keep up with Yan, but Yan was just too much in the end. A lot of people had a problem with the performance of the referee because at the end of the fight, Yan was just busting up Aldo's face. Aldo kind of turtled up. Yan had his back and was just smashing him on both sides of his face, blew up his ears. It looked pretty bad on the outside. A lot of people didn't like the late stoppage, but Yan wins the belt. In the co-main event, we had a rematch of a title fight from December between the former title holder Max Blessed Holloway against Alexander Volkanovski. Now, this is where I got super irritated because it reminded me of the Reyes fight when he fought John Jones earlier this year, where it was clear that Max won the first 3 rounds. It was more dominant in the first 2 rounds. He knocked down Volkanovski in the first round. He got another knockdown in the second round. The third round was a little bit closer, but it looked basically to the world that he had that handily. He had that third round handily. So if you win 3 out of the 5 rounds, you win as long as you don't get knocked out. On the 4th and 5th round, Volk actually does kind of find his rhythm. He actually busts up Max pretty bad. But at the end of the day, if you're a judge that knows what the fuck you're doing, you're going to score that fight 48-47 for Max because he won the first 3 rounds. But I just had this really sneaky suspicion. So amongst my friends in our group thread, I said, I have it as 48-47 Max, but I have this really fucked up feeling in my spine that they're going to give a split decision win to Volk, even though he doesn't deserve it. And sure enough, it was 2 judges scored it 48-47 for Volk, and 1 judge scored it 48-47 for Max. Everybody in the world, except for the judges, said that Max won the fight, and it was very clear that Max won the fight. But 2 judges, and so this is something that we've had a problem with all year, going even back into 2019 with the really, really horrible judging. Even Dana in the post fight conference said, he asked basically everybody in the room during the press conference, did anybody have Volkanovski winning the fight? Not a single person raised their hand. If you look all over social media, anybody watching that fight, it was clear that Max won the fight. So he doesn't get the belt. So that was definitely a point of contention for me. And then the main event, which a lot of people talked about, the event ended up with 1.3 pay-per-view buys, which was actually above what the expectations were, mainly because of Jorge Masvidal stepping in on late notice because Burns got the Rona. So he had to drop out of the fight. Masvidal took the fight on 6 days notice. So Usman and Masvidal, had bad blood or whatever. We expected an exciting fight. That is not what we got. Instead, Usman wrestle fucked him up against the side of the cage. He stomped on his feet a bunch of times. It was not the title fight that people were hoping for. Masvidal clearly didn't have the cardio. He had to cut 20 pounds in 6 days. It was a shit show. He put up a good fight. I think the judges had Masvidal winning round 1, but from then, basically he just got humped up against the side of the cage by Usman. Usman wins the next 4 rounds. It was a very ugly end to a very exciting card, but that card definitely kind of shook up the entire UFC. So we'll see what we're going to get going forward. So, if you missed it, I don't know. Like, part of me says that, you saved $65, but another part of me is like, damn, you should have seen it.
I mean, they have a whole Allen, so it's to be continued pretty much.
Yeah. They got another. They had an event last night, and they got another one coming up on Saturday. All of this stuff is free to watch. This is not a pay-per-view. Some of the fights are more compelling than others. There was a really weird situation where they called the TKO because a guy fell backwards out of the cage. He didn't know that the cage door opened behind him. So it's kind of fucked up to see that they waved the fight off and he wasn't able to continue to fight because they thought that, he was not fit to fight. But he didn't know that somebody had opened up the cage door behind him. It was kind of doofy. The main event was pretty good last night. I thought it was pretty fun to watch. The right guy actually won the fight. So I was kind of hoping that Ige would have won that fight against Calvin Kattar, but Kattar was able to control the fight mainly because he had a 6-inch reach advantage. So he just jabbed him to death and then hit him with combinations. Ige seemed to be waiting for that one power shot to put him away. And, you can't just load up. We've seen it time and time again. The power guy very rarely beats the technical guy. So I think Ige is probably going to go back to the drawing board and he's going to put together more combinations to find a way to get inside against taller, rangier fighters.
Yeah. So that's the real news when it comes to the real professional fight world, which is pretty tight. We also have
there was a Rona situation last night too that I forgot about. One of the fighters lost all of their support. So one of the announcers had to leave the announce booth to go corner him during his fight because all of his coaches, everybody that he had to be in his corner to support him, all of them tested positive for coronavirus.
That's weird.
That was some crazy shit.
So the last Fight Club we showed you, don't try it at home. Please do not try it at home. That's a disclaimer. We showed the last episode. We
try
showed
it outside. Don't try it inside the house.
Yeah, we showed how to defend against multiple people. We also showed you how you can fight people with a traffic cone and chicken wire. Today we're gonna talk about something that's really what people see in movies, which is total scam, how to fight someone with a gun. Don't ever fight someone with a gun. That's the stupidest thing in the world to do in the universe.
Yeah, the best way to fight is to run.
But if you're in a situation, so Jesse can play the movie clip, this weird ass movie clip which shows you.
I have to find my position. I have to not make any moves that make him shoot me. I have to.
Wow, his posture is terrible.
So Jesse's gonna play a clip. Yeah, it's terrible. But Jesse's gonna play this clip. But movies show how you dodge bullets in movies.
You could tell he reacted really, really slowly. I'd be impressed if he threw a bullet at that guy. She's got to get a new handbag now. Yeah, John Wick, beat that. Why does it look like pen ink that just came from his throat?
So no one's dodging any bullets like that in real life. If Jesse can play this real clip.
Technically, he didn't dodge any of those bullets at all. He reacted mad late. That shit looked fucking cheap as fuck.
He really got shot the first minute of the movie. But this shows you what the situation you could do something. Do not try it at home. This guy shows the mechanics of it.
Find my position. I have to not make any moves that make him shoot me. I have to stand here and
that posture would make me want to shoot you.
don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, stuff like that. I don't want to make him think I'm gonna disarm him. I want to make him think that this is gonna be a clean robbery. Hey, whatever you need, man, just let me know. You know, life's too short. I can't, you know, I got people, I got a dog and a cat, like stuff like that. So
all that talking to get you
once
shot.
Once you get him thinking that way, that's your time to react. The way I'm gonna react is he's holding the gun at me with his right hand. So I'm gonna use my left hand and I'm gonna grab the barrel. But you see, the gun is still facing my face.
The bullet go right into your neck.
Right when I go to grab, my head is gonna come off the center line. So there's a line here that imaginarily that's where the gun will shoot me.
Whoa, look at that movie magic.
So I get off the line. As I grab the barrel, my free hand comes in with some sort of karate chop to the wrist, the hand area, because I'm gonna look to get his hand to turn and face him. Once it turns and face him, I keep turning. That's what scares the guy. When the gun starts pointing back at yourself, the guy might let go, and you get yourself the gun back.
So he's
keep
not
the
holding.
left side of the gun. Check your safety.
You shouldn't hold a gun that far from your
safety is off, so you can
chest.
actually, if you
He's
have
gonna
to
just take the gun back from you.
You can. So again, so I'm here. He's holding the gun at me. I'm gonna grab the barrel, hold it nice and tight. My other hand's gonna hit the wrist. Head drops off to the side, and I get the gun back. Just like
he didn't move his head at all.
No. So,
like,
so it's pretty
your head
funny.
off the center line, okay, but then when you actually go to do it, your head is still on the center line.
You know, it's pretty hilarious because like Conan O'Brien actually did a similar thing. Yeah, I think it was actually a better demonstration than which is pretty funny.
Yeah, let's try this out. Let's walk through a scenario. You're the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy. I've got you now, ho. I've got you now.
Oh.
So what time is it?
What time is it?
That joke wrote itself.
Okay. So let's break that.
Like he held the gun better when he took it, all kinds of stuff. So do not try that at home. That just shows you in the movies is way more complicated and way more deadly and dangerous. Do not try it at home. So
yeah, and even in the movie, you're lucky when the bullet doesn't hit you.
That's if there's bullets flying, you know, the CGI bullets. So there you go.
He hit a pen from a magazine. Like that didn't make any fucking sense at all. Some Ricky O shit right there.
Ricky O is definitely coming to the show soon. Yeah, it is definitely coming to the show. So we have we have one last video. It's kind of funny. We've been talking about bears and wild animals and monkeys. If Jesse plays this final video for us, we just watch out for this bear in the streets. We're hiring this bear to patrol our neighborhoods.
That bear is gonna fuck you up.
It almost looks like a person in a suit.
Yeah, that's the bear that Messiah is bringing back to New York. The NYPD.
We're gonna get him. He's gonna train 100 of the bears and then 200 of the bears.
Oh man, who would win in a fight? Who would win in the fight? That bear or Bruce Lee? Like nunchuck for nunchuck.
I think they might have to find Bruce Lee do his shit. Unfortunately, comes to how powerful bears are.
And on that note,
this is Black Power Magic Hour. My name is Messiah Rhodes.
I'm Dr. Evil. We'll see you at 8:30 p.m. Next Tuesday.
Peace.
Peace.